Well, that was a terrible fade in, fade out. Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Community Conversations. My name is Ethan Smith. It is Tuesday, August 13th, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Hope everyone is doing fantastic. If you're just joining us, which you probably are because we just went live, say hello, let us know where you're from. And we'll get started in the next couple of minutes as people get settled in and ready to talk. Hi, Cash. I see you're here. Beth Garducci in the house. Desiree, good to see you. Miriam, thank you for being here. Hey, Nathan, good to see you. Not too far. A Georgia neighbor, if you will. Hi, Jenna. It's nice to see you. So we'll give it one more minute. If you're just joining us, say hello. Let me know where you're from. I say let us know where you're from, but it's just me. Literally just me. Still running this by myself, up to no good. We never know what can happen. So we'll do the best we can here. Robert Spence, good to see you, sir. Hope everyone is doing great. If you're just joining us, just so you all know, Cash's favorite ice cream is rum and raisin. I don't know how I feel about raisins in my ice cream, Cash. I gotta be honest with you. It's not my, I don't know that it's my jam. Nikki Bradley from Dublin. Nikki in the house. All right. 2 minutes is up. If you're, as you come in, Dave, good to see you. Katie O'Dunay. Nice to see you. Welcome for the first time. If you're just joining us, Matt Bannister in the house. How did I miss it? Good to see you. Hearts back. All right, let's get through the housekeeping so we can get into some good conversation. Coffee with chocolate chunks. That sounds really good. And you don't drink. I like coffee ice cream, and I don't drink coffee either. So I'm right there with you, CJ. All right. If you don't know me, my name is Ethan Smith. I'm a national advocate for the International OCD Foundation. This community conversation is intended to serve as educational content and is not intended to replace therapy. I'm also not a therapist, so we definitely can't do any therapy replacing here today. For treatment-related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact a local clinician. The IOCDF is not a crisis hotline. If you are ever in crisis or feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room or call 911 or the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988. Oh, see, this is the problem with running my own thing. I completely forgot to show the number. There we are. I'll leave that up for a minute. Also, we always want to create a safe space and be kind and respectful to everyone. At the end of the day, we're here to support one another. And a note, this is being broadcast on all social media channels. So keep that in mind as we talk and share and tell all our private secrets. So with all of that, welcome. All right, so how's everyone doing tonight? Desiree, I'm always craving chocolate. And I didn't used to, but I do now, strangely enough. Whopped cream. Beth, is whopped cream like formerly whipped? Is it the past tense of whipped? Whopped? I know you're correcting it. All right, so first of all, it's been a minute. We would have had one, but we had the IOCDF conference. For those of you that were there and I got to meet you in person, it was awesome. So thank you. For those of you that watched hybrid, can I share all of Ethan's private secrets here? Where do you boot people? These 3 dots, I think, put in timeout, delete comment, ban user, I don't know, to be continued. So if we met, fantastic. If you were on the hybrid track and were watching from home, we hope you enjoyed it. So tonight is your night. So yes, we missed one community conversations because of the conference that week. So we are back. We are in full swing. Should I say a brand new season? I mean, it is kind of the beginning of the next post-conference, new school year. Lots of exciting things happen. What emoji is that, Katie? The thing is terrifying. Anyway, so before I launch into copious diatribes of information about my own life, I would love to hear from all of you. How are you doing? Matt, I'm so glad to hear you love the IOCDF hybrid. That's awesome. Hopefully we'll be continuing to grow that out so we can offer more panels, more discussions, more content, and connect the community even better. Block Ethan, Cash, careful. So let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll give it a few seconds. What's on your mind? What's happening? What's going on? How are you? I agree, Matt. That would be awesome. I have a frog in my throat. I'm going to mute myself for 1 second. That did nothing. So, except, anyway, that'll be fun. Oh, look at Katie coming out with all the weird emojis. Hey, Mike Alcey, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. So Desiree wrote, I'm going good. Clearly, I'm going good too. I'm doing good on this healing journey of mine, challenging but blessed. I think that's a beautiful way to put it. I think life is challenging, and fighting OCD and related disorders is challenging. So I think that is a very fair statement to say, but also from challenge comes growth. And so I think it's always going to be challenging. I don't know when there's been a day that isn't challenging, but sometimes it's really good challenge and you know what will come out of it. And occasionally you get those little breaks where you can just breathe, and those are nice too. So thanks for sharing, Desiree. I totally agree with you. Oh, Cash, I just want to show Cash's emoji. Damn, it's a cry purple guy. All right, there you go. Matt Bannister. I'm sorry. I apologize for my throat. I'm doing good, watching the best live stream on Tuesday nights. How are you doing, Ethan? Oh, you know the way to my heart, Matt. Tuesday nights, that's it. I'm doing well. Things are good. We're moved into our new home. We're getting settled. And so lots of work. My OCD has spiked a little bit this week. I'm not exactly sure why. So I've been upping, bringing out the tools. I was going to say raising the warriors. That's not really accurate, but bringing out the tools and fighting a little harder. And I find when I do that, hopefully it goes away a lot quicker and quiets down. And so far, so good. Had a session with my therapist today, talked about the uptick and other things too. So Paul, I'm going to put you on mute one more second. I am so sorry. Okay, we'll try that again. So yeah, but overall doing really well. And as Desiree said, I'm challenged. It's challenging, but blessed. I do have a therapist, Cash. I see a therapist once a week. I've seen the same therapist for 12 years now, coming up on my 700th session. So, but you are an advocate. So, it's funny. We talked about this too. So yes, but advocates have OCD too. And it turns out that they struggle too. So it's important. I think that being an advocate is all about telling your truth and what you're experiencing, whether good or bad. And at least my experience is, for the most part, OCD is at bay. And it still is right now. But sometimes, oh, you're being sarcastic. I don't care. I'm going to treat you sincerely. But yeah, I think that maintenance and management is really important. I personally want to stay on top of it as much as possible. We rarely talk about OCD. We mostly just talk about life and navigating, as Desiree said, the challenges of life, whatever they may be. But I find it really, really helpful, and I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. Michael Alcey, good to see you, sir. You know me, Ethan, I struggle with obsessions too, and yet I'm also so amazed how much good stuff we have within us, even with OCD. Absolutely. I in no way think that OCD defines who we are or who we are as people. They're not, it's not our identity or part of our identity. I always like to think about, we are who we are. We're the individuals that we are, with all the good and all the bad and all the beauty and all the creativity. And, and then maybe we get cancer. or muscular sclerosis. Clearly, I can't pronounce it. And you know, even with that, we are still amazing humans. And so I wholeheartedly agree with you. And you know, on top of that, we're some of the most compassionate, kind, and creative, smart people I've ever met. So yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing that, Michael. Beth Carducci, I'm stuck in a new therapist, isn't working out, told me I won't get COVID today. Doesn't really seem aware of long COVID, told me I am living in a cocoon, which is true. I'm a little confused by your comment, Beth, because you agree with her, but then she's also not working out. Told me I won't get COVID today, doesn't really seem aware of long COVID, told me. I'm curious if you want to sort of elaborate on that, be happy to weigh in and give you my clearly asked for opinion on it. Jen in the house, Jen doing good-ish. I'm Jewish, so we're similar. I've been traveling a lot. NoCD has been packing its bags with me, but I've been able to remind myself I deserve these moments and let anxiety hang out. That is a beautiful message that I will leave up for a second. Yes, 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 yes. And it loves to pack its bags on beautiful moments like vacations or weddings or important moments. And I think the best thing we can do is stay as present as we possibly can and let it do its thing. And, you know, maybe it can pull up a lounge chair on the beach, just maybe over there. It doesn't have to be next to me, but it can hang. It's fine. Do your thing. It's a beautiful approach. And I love that mindful acceptance, commitment-based therapy approach to it. So awesome, Jen. And I hope you've been having some great travels with that. Let us know where you've been traveling to and how it's been going. And yes, you can advocate. Okay, so to be clear, and I know Cash is half sarcastic, you know, I really want to be clear that being an advocate doesn't mean you are on a live stream talking to people. Being an advocate is simply sharing your story. That's it. Could be with a family member, could be with a friend, could be with a stranger, but you know, advocacy boiled down to its simplest, finest point is just sharing your story, sharing education about OCD, reducing stigma. It's ultimately all it is. And some of my most beautiful, fondest memories and moments as an advocate is doing just that. And specifically this conference, that's why I didn't submit a lot of panels. I really wanted to have as many interactions as I could with people at the conference. Because I always feel like those one-on-one interactions are sometimes the most meaningful. And so number one, advocacy can look like whatever you want it to look like. And by no means should you define your being an OCD advocate by like what we're doing, by what Liz McInville does, by what Chris Tronston does. You know, if you're on here and you're supporting someone in the comment thread, or you're sharing an example of something that you've gone through in an effort to help someone feel not alone, then you are an advocate without a doubt, no questions asked. And the other piece of that to what you were talking about earlier was that, you know, advocacy is not, you can advocate wherever you are in your journey, and it's totally up to you. You can not be doing well and still advocate. You can be doing great and advocate. There's really no rules to this other than whether you want to share your story or educate or reduce stigma, help people access treatment. It can really be whatever you're passionate about. And advocacy can always meet you wherever you are. So it can look like whatever you want it to look like. And that's important because by no means, you know, does advocacy have to happen on a national level and you know, and big and grandiose. It can truly be whatever you make it. And I think some of the most powerful advocacy happens, you know, in small corners, small conversations, in one Instagram post, one phone call. I mean, that's where the real beautiful stuff happens. And I love these as well, of course, but you know, so. Nathan, I love that. Somewhat, I think we can take somewhat at bay as a win for sure. So good on that, and just keep on keeping on, and we maybe next week or in the next 2 weeks we can say You'll say OCD is mostly at bay, which would be awesome. Love Lana in the house. Hey, Lana, good to see you. Desiree asked me, what's your favorite tool to use if you'd care to share? If not, I understand. Yeah, for sure. My favorite tool when OCD spikes is first being willing to be terrified. And I know there's lots of modalities of treatment out there right now and lots of opinions on whether you should or shouldn't feel anxiety. I really don't have opinions on those. I just have opinion on what works for me based on what I've learned. And the first thing is, and I say this a million times over, the skeleton key for OCD is embracing uncertainty and being willing to not know what may or may not happen and being okay with being not okay, right? So, when I notice my OCD uptick, and I'm not perfect at it, and I don't do it right away, and sometimes it takes me a few days to figure it out. But one of the biggest tools for me probably is two. The first one is being willing to let my fear happen, and letting myself be scared, letting myself feel the anxiety, letting myself be uncomfortable, and no matter what, fully embrace that, like surrender to it 100%. Don't kind of fight it or white knuckle it or any of those things. Sometimes I reach out to my therapist, rarely I do. Sometimes it comes up in therapy or not, but my motivation for doing that is reminding myself, A, where I've come from. So, and what that means is the parts of my life that I've lived that I don't want to relive. I don't want to end up back in a psychiatric hospital. I don't want to end up back in a bed, not living life. I don't want to end up on the streets of Boston. Like, there's lots of places I don't want to end up again. So I try to use those and remembering the past as motivation to really help me be comfortable being uncomfortable, because those are dark places that I'm not interested in revisiting. And, over the course of, since 2011, which is when I really came out of serious treatment and got the real help that I needed. Knock wood, I've never had a relapse. That doesn't mean I haven't lapsed. That doesn't mean I haven't struggled. That doesn't mean OCD hasn't gotten loud, but I haven't had a relapse. So we can define lapses and relapses and what all that means. But so that's number one. Number two tool that I use is remembering my values and what I care about, and recognizing that when I choose to compulse, I'm actively not choosing other things that I care about way more, whether that's work, whether that's my wife, Katie, whether that's putting effort into my house or my family, calling a friend. I start to think about, okay, well, what would I be doing in this moment if I wasn't compulsing? And that's probably something value driven. And I'm actively saying no to that value-driven thing by compulsing. And so constantly reminding myself and becoming really specific about my intentions, about what I'm choosing to do and what I'm choosing to do over what I should be doing. So I think the combination of those two things, and then, staying mindful, staying present, taking a breath, taking a beat, taking a shower, taking a walk, trying to get out of my head and into my life, opposite action, being okay. I'm just now spitballing tons of tools at you, because I don't know that uncertainty, embracing uncertainty is obviously the big key, but there's lots of ways to do that. But acting as if, engaging in value-driven things, even if I don't feel good, even if I don't think I'm doing it well, even if I'm not present all the time, and trying not to judge myself for it, not to beat myself up for it, not treat myself like shit for it. And offer myself a ton of self-compassion and grace, recognizing this is a disease, a disorder, not a decision. It is not who I am. I did not ask for this. And while I can want better for myself, and while I can want better choices for myself if I choose to compulse, I can recognize that was a choice. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm going to recognize that I can offer myself lots of self-compassion and try to do better next time. And, you can want better for yourself and offer yourself grace. So those are about, 5 of the 400 things that I try to implement, all rolled into one. So hopefully in that long list of things, you grabbed something out of it that is useful. And yes, Jonathan Grayson is an amazing clinician. So But important to note, Miss Love, you owe your life to yourself. You did the work. Dr. Grayson can direct you and point you, and you may argue with me, but I've had a lot of arguments with therapists when I've said, thank you, you saved my life, and they always say this to me. So I'm saying it back to you, which is nobody can force you to do it. You did it. And so Dr. Grayson, I'm sure would agree with me by saying, he was a phenomenal guide, but at the end of the day, you had to put in the work to get where you are today. So we're glad you're here. And I agree. That's reassurance. Him telling you you can't get COVID is just reassurance. Let's roll with maybe not, or maybe you will, or maybe you will one day, But Beth, I think you've done, I would give yourself some credit here. I get what you're saying, but we know how far you've come from where you started. So let's celebrate the wins. And I don't know, what you're currently experiencing. And if you're feeling more challenged, I know there's an uptick. I know lots of people with it right now. But you've made some good decisions in the last few years and really lived toward your values. And maybe you're not where you want to be yet, but you will get there. And so give yourself a pat on the back and a big hug. Let's see here. Now, I know you're being snarky, Cash, but I will tell you that I think it's a fair question because freedom from OCD is 1 billion% achievable. And so, so I will not take heat for asking that question because I'm living proof. There's lots of people in this room that are living proof that freedom from OCD is possible. And while it may be chronic, it may not be cured, substantial freedom can be attained. And even as I am today, having said that my OCD, is spiked, I am 10 trillion times better now in this moment than I ever was before I had treatment and therapy. I can go out, I can do things, I'm enjoying this moment. It's when I say OCD is ticked up, my head's just a little noisier. Maybe I'm listening a little bit closer, and maybe I will engage in a compulsion or two. But if that's, while that may not be cured, that's the extent compared to, and as you all know, your darkest days, I will happily take that for the rest of my life. Hello, Isostasia. Good to see you. Pikmin 44, I relate to Jen. I went to the beach last week for the first time in a decade, and my OCDF had a huge spike from traveling. But I told myself I was going to enjoy the vacation regardless how imperfect it was, and I did. And ended it with Mario. So that's a double what's up. That's awesome. I love that. It does. I like to say, there was a phrase that I picked up that I always use on vacation with Katie. And I'm forgetting it, but like my brain, when I travel, my brain automatically looks for thousands of things to worry about that I hadn't worried about in a long time. When I'm working and busy and in routine, whatever. But the minute I go out of town or on vacation, suddenly I'm worrying about all this stuff. And yeah, anxiety. Oh, Katie, if you're still watching, what do we call it? I don't think she's still watching. But foreboding joy, maybe that was it, foreboding joy. But yeah, our OCD and anxiety definitely doesn't like it when things are calm and quiet and loves to get really, really loud. But as you've all now seen with Jen and Pikmin, put it to bed, have a good time. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can have challenging times on a vacation and still have an amazing vacation. I have a funny cruise story that some of you have heard and some of you have not heard. I've told it a few times since 2019, but maybe I'll share it later. Matt Bannister, glad everything is all sorted for the moving in process at your new home. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you. Completely relate with OCD spiking as it was for me not so long ago. We're all for you, brother, always, as just as you are. For all of us, it's taking one step at a time with the tools we know, compassion and grace, but you'll kick OCD's butt again because you are an absolute badass warrior. and we're with you all the way. Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. It is a process, but I truly believe we will always, in the end, kick OCD's ass, because what other choice do we have? Seriously, your other choice is not to, and your world gets real small. Great question, Zach. Do you mind if I call you Zach? Too late. Is it worth going to a conference if you don't know anyone there? The answer is a resounding yes. A lot of people go for the first time and may not know people. Other people bring family members, but there is nothing like an in-person conference. You will be surprised how quickly comfortable you will feel surrounded by individuals that are experiencing similar things as you. You will feel less alone. You will feel nothing but support and love, and you will quickly make friends. And so, without a doubt, you should go if you can. It's going to be in Chicago, I think, for the 30th anniversary next year. And, in the meantime, you can come on like live streams, maybe meet some other folks. We have a lot of virtual OCD conferences coming up. The one in November is coming up. So, you can attend some virtual cons in the time being and meet some folks. But without a doubt, it is not like a sleepaway camp where everybody knows each other. I mean, yes, lots of people have been there. This was my 14th conference. But I can't tell you enough that it's a pretty incredible experience, and I would encourage anyone to go. It can be life-changing, and a lot of people make lifelong friends there. And so if you go not knowing anyone, you will definitely leave knowing lots of people. Melissa in the house, doing great. Life has thrown me some lemons, but liking my new therapist and doing the work as much as I can and living life towards my values, still advocating in my way and enjoying what's left of the summer with the fam. Hope you are doing well. Ethan, we hope you're doing well, Melissa. It's good to see you. Let's see. Awesome. Knoxville, Tennessee. Very fun. Let's see. Just scrolling down here. Hi, Jane Taylor. And thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate it. Lots of wonderful comments. Okay, let's pull this up. So I think advocates, doctors, and therapists who actually have OCD can't relate to us because they know exactly how we feel because they are going through it, or can relate to us. I always do that. I always say can't when I mean can, and can when I say can't. But I think you mean can, and I totally agree with you. But that isn't to say that doctors and therapists without can't. And I think it's important, there are definitely ties that bind, and definitely some benefits to individuals that have OCD and the way we can relate and understand. But there are some professionals that know and understand OCD. They might as well have it. I've seen them work, and it's pretty amazing how good they are. And I'd also like to remind that, with any other disorder or disease, we go to doctors for different things, and, cancer doctors or, insert disorder or disease. And, we don't need to go to a doctor that's had it to get it, treat it, and understand it. And so I do think there's a lot of truth to that, to Beth, for sure. Simultaneously, though, I also don't think it rules out advocates and doctors and therapists who don't have it. So I think we all have to kind of discern for ourselves, who's a good option. But thank you for your comment. Let's see here. Values are important to me. I agree. Oh, I think I missed an Isostasia comment because I'm reading. Did I miss something? Because I'm reading people commenting about her comments. But maybe, sorry, I'm just scrolling up real quick. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. I'm very confused. As normal for me. All right, let me keep scrolling down. I want to make sure to get to everyone's questions and comments. Hi, Kimberly. So glad you're here. Glad you're back. See, Beth wrote, some people think people with disorders say they're weak and whiny. I think that's the exact opposite. We drag ourselves out of bed and do mundane things every day. Now that is some extraordinary power. Oh, I chose a good comment to pull up. I love that. I agree with you. We also should never compare our struggles to anyone else's struggles. I think it's very easy for individuals with OCD to look next door and go, wow, so easy for them to walk outside. So easy for them to get the mail. So easy for them to get in their car. You know, look at me. I can barely get out of bed. Look at me. I can't even take a shower. You know, I'm a piece of shit because of, you know, and the reality is never, ever compare our struggles to other people. They have stuff going on that we don't know about that we can probably do very easily, and vice versa. And I'm only saying this from experience because I would do the exact same thing. It's like, well, what the hell? You know, all of the people without OCD and all these other people, you know, they have life struggles and don't have to think about the simple stuff like living and brushing your teeth and getting out of bed and doing all that stuff. So I agree with you. I think that we do have extraordinary power. And you know, what's great though about challenging ourselves is to do the mundane stuff as we become very, very good at it, at which point we can then take our game to the next level and start to participate in the less mundane things and then enjoy them up there, you know, from there and all the things. So thank you for that comment. Cash is complimenting me, which is a super rare occurrence. You must not be feeling very well. But I'm glad that helps you. That's why I definitely do. Let's see here. I just want to make sure. What time zone am I in? I'm Eastern time, CJ. Where are you from? I see Crabitis in the chat. Jen, I will take 1,000,000 quiet brain moments and consider it freedom over where I came from. I actually today acknowledge the fact my mind was quiet and caught myself just smiling. Jen is coming out with a lot of good, what I like to call truth spears tonight. Absolutely. There are very specific words that I never take lightly, that I never thought I would experience before I got treatment. Those two words are joy and serenity. I don't think I'd experienced true joy until I got better. And then I realized what happiness and joy really was and means and what it's like to experience that from experiences. And not to say that I live in a constant state of joy, because I definitely do not. I'm a moody, moody man. And if Katie were online, she would triple thumbs up that. But you know, what's even more special is serenity, I think. And just experiencing those little moments of peace and things that I never, those were definitely periods of time that I never thought I would experience. And they're very special. And you know, the more you surrender, the more you let go, the more you're willing to feel out of control. It's the grand paradox. The less control you try to have, the more in control you feel. We are trying to constantly feel in control. And by doing so, we feel more out of control. So when you reach that place of being willing to accept uncertainty and cross bridges when you come to it, and all of those things, therein lies the feeling of peace and serenity. I think they're tied very closely together. And I think that when we let go and so, okay, this is where I am in this moment. This is what I know. I don't know anything else. I don't know 5 seconds from now. I don't know a minute from now, but I know this right now, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having any foresight into what's to come. Those are the moments that you kind of just breathe, because there's nothing else to be responsible for. And you're not. You're just responsible for yourself, your actions, your focus, and the here and now. And I think that's powerful. I don't know. I keep catching crabitis. I'm not exactly sure what crabitis is, but I don't know. I kind of hope to have it. It sounds fun. Why does OCD sometimes spike when life gets busier and sometimes goes away under the same circumstances? That's a great question. So generally, OCD's behavior is to increase and spike during times of stress. That can be good stress or bad stress. So, you know, whether you're doing something super fun with friends or vacation or having to go through a hard time. To answer your question, sometimes when life gets busier, we get into a routine, we get really focused, and we don't pay attention to the thoughts as much or engage in them. Now, whether you're doing the exact same thing or just busier. So busy, typically, OCD really hates routine. And so staying busy and staying in a routine is one of your tools. It's a really good something to have. That's why on vacation OCD gets really nuts, because typically your routine changes when you sleep, what you're doing, what you're thinking about, and so forth. And so when life gets busier, it can get quiet. With that being said, though, when life gets busier for the first time, it can get really loud. And nobody's asking this question. It's a really good question. So, like, for instance, you know, when things are on the quieter side for me work-wise, and then I get a new piece of business or something new is happening, typically my anxiety spikes. And then if while I'm at that level, something else comes in or whatever, it typically goes down. And so it's a great question. And sometimes OCD, you can't necessarily explain all the reasons why it does what it does. Sometimes it just do what it do. But at least that's been my experience is, you know, new busy, anxiety can pick up and spike, and therefore sometimes OCD can spike as well. Old busy or same busy can go away. And then, you know, being busy for too long, it can come back. You know, you start to read a small burnout area or burnout phase where it starts to trigger. That's a great question. It's an interesting thought for sure. Let's see here. I love all the conversation. Okay, first of all, they have a crab con because that's freaking awesome. So you should absolutely, Beth, go to crab con. If you go to the conference, you also get swag like Stanley Cups and stretchy stress toys and all kinds of stuff. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, Beth. And if you think about where you came from and where you are today and the things that you've done, you've come a really long way. So what is it going to take? Well, you're doing a lot of it, you know. At a certain point, though, Beth, and we've talked about this, literally what it's going to take is you being willing to get sick. Doesn't mean you're going to, doesn't mean that you have to, you know, give up certain things, but at the end of the day, you know, and you really, I know you've answered this question before, but you have to ask yourself if it's worth giving up all the stuff that you're giving up to prevent yourself from getting COVID or to prevent yourself getting from long COVID. And the truth is, you don't have, I would wager to say, without you being mad at me, that you don't have facts to back up the fears. And what I mean by that is not at all saying that COVID doesn't exist and not at all saying that long COVID doesn't exist. What I'm saying is you have no clue what you will end up with. You'll have no clue if you get COVID. If you don't get COVID, you'll have no clue if you got COVID, how it would impact you, how sick it would make you, how not sick it would make you, if you would have symptoms, if you wouldn't have symptoms. And then from there, would you get long COVID? Would you not get long COVID? And what kind of long COVID would it be? Would it be long COVID that is long forever? Is it long COVID the last 3 months? Is it just the brain fog? Is it all the other horrible stuff? My point is that, you know, we're at A and you're at Z, and there's a lot in between. And so I like to see the frustration in your message because frustration breeds action. This chair is so uncomfortable for the money I paid for it. I should friggin' massage my butt. Anyway, so it's really, really important to recognize that and say to yourself, gosh, I am missing so many things that I love, and you have done some amazing stuff already. Not taking that away from you, just sending you some harder words, which is, are you getting tired of missing the stuff yet? Because you have no clue. I get you've read everything. I get that there's examples of all that. Flus, other sicknesses, some people get this, some people get that, some people it kills, some people it doesn't. There's examples of extremes in every situation, whether it's an illness, whether it's a car accident, whether it's exposure to asbestos, whether it's going to a city and people get kidnapped in South America. Should I not go to South America, right? It's like what we focus on, what our OCD gets stuck on. So the reality, though, is you have no facts beyond, the fear of what if I get. And you have no clue beyond that what happens. And I understand completely, as someone with health anxiety, the desire to not even want to know to begin with. But you're giving up a considerable amount of your life. So what's worth it? And I personally think it's worth the risk. Similar to any of the examples we talk about, risking going outside, crossing the street, getting hit by a car, getting in a car and having a car accident, but to live your life, it is worth the risk. And also, there were lots of other scary crap out there before COVID. And we walked by people all the time. We shook hands, we hugged, we shared drinks, we shared food, who knows? So, it's been challenging for sure, Beth, and I totally understand. And I think you've done amazing things so far. But if you want to do something, do it. Do it. It is worth the risk. You don't want to look back, in 20 or 30 years and be like, wow, I protected myself for no reason, So yeah, it's my 2 cents. Hopefully that was okay to give you 2 cents. Ms. Love, hey Ethan, what was your childhood like? My parents fought a lot and I was always stressed in my childhood. My mom also has OCD, but not as bad as me. You think OCD is caused by a childhood trauma or genetics? In my case, it can be both. So the short answer is sure. OCD is definitely genetic. A lot of research to back that up. And most of the times, if you have OCD, I saw Spence talk about trilobites. Those are cool. Anyway, if someone has OCD, you can usually track it back to their parents or grandparents, and one or both have it. So that makes sense. And I have it in my family too, although not formally diagnosed. So yes. Also, so as far as childhood trauma goes, also a yes. But with that being said, generally childhood or trauma otherwise can definitely activate, if you will, OCD. So the current science says that there's a propensity or not a propensity, but we have the possibility of having OCD. I'm not using the right words, but and it's not dormant isn't the right word, but we are already inclined toward OCD in a traumatic event, whether it's childhood or adult, a major milestone like puberty, going to college, having children, a divorce, a death in the family. All of those things can sort of activate the biological predisposition. That's what I was looking for, to OCD. So the short of an answer is yes. My childhood, as far as I can remember, I was born with it because I started displaying a lot of OCD tendencies really, really early, asking questions about death, being afraid of leaving my family, bad things happening, like 3, 4, 5 years old. And, my parents really enabled and reassured me because parents don't want to see their kids suffer. And when they don't know what it is, if you're crying because, you want the light switch turned 3 times and they can make you stop crying, they're going to do that for you. So, until you know. So obviously every child's childhood is different. And I definitely think though that both genetic and trauma can play a role in activating OCD. So yeah, you have the insight. It can be both for sure. I'm learning so much. So crabitis would be inflammation of crabs, and crabophilia is love of crabs. Oh, no, not those kind of crabs. I should not have read that out loud then. I thought we were getting serious about crabs here. All right, Kimberly, freedom from OCD is possible, and it can show. I'm going to lose my live stream, and it can show up in a lot of different ways. One way it could be not only accepting uncertainty, but viewing uncertainty as a personal value. Hell yes, I love that, Kimberly. And I'm going to actually pull up her next thread. We want to start to view uncertainty as an opportunity instead of being afraid of it all the time. I subscribe to this. Thank you for bringing this up, Kimberly. I subscribe to this 10 billion%. So I love uncertainty. And I'm not just saying that because I want to fight my OCD. What I'm saying is all the excitement in life happens about uncertainty. You know, have you ever scratched a lottery ticket? You know, the uncertainty that comes before that feels good. Is this going to happen? Am I going to win? You know, applying for a job. It's really intense. It's really scary, but possibilities are uncertainties. What's just around the corner? How is my life going to change today? You know, who am I going to see? What am I going to run into? You may not know that you're going to run into a friend that you knew 10 years ago that you miss, and you're on the street or in a shop, and what a great uncertainty. I really like uncertainty as much as I dislike it around OCD. I think uncertainty is what makes life exciting, what provides hope and provides possibilities. Can you imagine if you knew everything that was going to happen before it happened? I would caution to say it would be boring. And maybe half of you were like, no, you're an idiot, Ethan. That would be amazing. But some of it would be pretty boring. Maybe some of it would be better. But I subscribe to this wholeheartedly. I like uncertainty. I think, you know, that call around the corner, that person that you might meet, meeting your soulmate in a coffee shop, you know, all of those things, that's all uncertainty. And, you know, as much as uncertainty, it feels like causes us havoc with our OCD, it really can make life beautiful and exciting. And like I said, I find a lot of hope in uncertainty. And in fact, when I'm feeling hopeless sometimes, the belief that anything can change at any moment, and sometimes that can be really scary because we throw a lot of negativity into that, but it can also be really beautiful and positive. You know, that you can change your course, or something that can occur to change it. And that uncertainty is very exciting to me. So great. Thank you, Kimberly, for bringing that up. I love that. Random question. Do you like gaming? As the OCD Warrior Badass Tribe Game and Vibe group will be on this Saturday, and would love you. I'd love to know more about it, Matt. I haven't gamed in a while. I wasn't like a heavy gamer. I definitely had gaming systems and liked to play games a lot. I think you're talking about video games. But anything that's called OCD Warrior Badass Tribe, I'm into. So keep me updated, Matt, because that sounds really cool. Let's see here. This is good. So OCD is like a toddler. If it's trying to get your attention, you ignore it, it gets louder, but it eventually shuts up. That's the thing, though. We have to be willing to let it get so loud and still not turn around and give it a lollipop. If your toddler is in the candy aisle and wants candy, and you say no, and it starts screaming, and you say no, and then it sits down on the floor and throws a tantrum, and you say, okay, I'm leaving. You usually get halfway down the aisle before the 2 or 3-year-old jumps up, freaked out that you're leaving, and runs back over. It's a great example, and I agree. It is a bully or a toddler, but we have to get past that threshold of the illusion. We have to get past the illusion of it's not going to shut up and challenge it beyond our comfort level, and willing to make it loud as go as loud as you want, you know. And with that, though, we can't white knuckle that. We can't, meaning we have to really just bring it in for a hug, you know, let the energy, let it come in. We're going to make room for it here. But I would challenge that. I would challenge that to, yes, it gets louder, but it will get quieter. And that's if you're like treating your toddler like, sure, cry. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give you what you want. And at a certain point, we got to go. So you can either learn how to walk home or you can get in the car with me. It's your choice. And 9 times out of 10, the kid will usually come with you. I've seen it in action. 1000%. And by the way, like all of these modalities of treatment, ERP, ACT, DBT, they're amazing in life. I mean, like being able to accept uncertainty, exposing yourself to things that are uncomfortable, living in the moment, mindfulness, emotional regulation, like all of those things are incredible tools to live your life. I always feel like, and I've described it like this, is sometimes I feel like I can see the matrix, right? I had so much therapy. I feel like I'm so much further along than other people. Not saying I'm better than them. No, I am. But not saying I'm better than them. But you do feel like you can kind of see beyond the surface. And so many of these things help just in navigating life. So Phyllis Taylor, absolutely. Yes, absolutely true. I knew a ton of people that got COVID at the IOCDF conference. 1000% true. I somehow didn't. And I probably hugged or shook hands with 700 people. Katie didn't either. And as far as I know, everybody got well and is doing fine. In fact, the executive director of the IOCDF got COVID. And so, yes. And now whether these individuals, anybody got long COVID, I genuinely don't know. But I do know that everybody that got COVID is better now and doesn't have it anymore, and haven't heard anything beyond that. And that, I think that's just a part of our new life, no different than like people go to the conference and get a cold, people go to the conference and get the flu. There's complications with all that stuff. You know, I think we have to normalize it a little bit. Not saying it isn't scary. I had sanitizer with me and I would sanitize after I shook 50 hands, and I would go to the bathroom and try to do my due diligence and all that stuff because I didn't want to get sick. So there is gray, but that is true for sure. I don't know. If I told you what this chair cost, you would cry. I'm gonna cry. I don't know. It actually came built. I've decided personally, if you want to laugh, there's different parts of the chair that hit me in weird places. I think that's the shape of my body and not necessarily the chair's fault. So I've decided that the chair was so expensive, I'm just going to reshape my body through diet and exercise to fit the chair. I'm joking, but I'm also not joking. So we'll see how it goes. Stay updated on the chair saga. I will say, though, that although not the most comfortable, I got it because I get some sciatica because I sit so much working. And I've been in this chair maybe 2 or 3 weeks now, and I've had no issues. So maybe it takes discomfort. I think what it's done is it's completely changed my posture. It forces me to sit up and not slouch, which obviously isn't as comfortable. However, I think it's doing the trick in what I bought it to do. So that's always good. Yes. Maybe shift my mindset to, instead of being afraid of it, think about how I will handle it if I did get it. How could I not be petrified of it? How to handle it without losing my mind. Yes. Or that you can handle it if you're petrified. That you won't lose your mind, but that you are capable of navigating it, no matter how scary it may be, no matter how much anxiety it gives you. I got it the first time on a cruise ship. Hadn't had it. This was my honeymoon in December of 2023. That's 3.5, almost 4 years in. Thought I was immune. Wore masks, did all the things, didn't go in large crowds, lived my life, but was pretty vigilant. And got it on a cruise ship, which was like, oh my God, not only did I get it, not only do I have a clue how it's gonna impact me, but I'm also in the middle of the water just off the tip of South America, and like, without help, Did I get sick and did I feel shitty? Yeah, I definitely did, you know, for about 7 or 8 days. And then I got better and that was the end of it. And I was terrified of it. I was also terrified of like, because of how I thought it was going to affect my mental health. And it was challenging. I mean, when I get sick, it typically triggers my OCD and anxiety. So I anticipated that. But yeah, you know, it was my first time and it wasn't fun, but I did okay. I did okay. And I truly, truly believe, Beth, that if you got it, you too will be okay. And you too mentally will be able to handle it. I love the shift of mindset. You know, it's an if, and if it is an if, that you will make it through, that you will manage. And it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to not feel good, you know? But let's just roll with the odds here. The odds are that maybe you get it and maybe it's not that bad, or maybe you get sort of bad if you're boosted. But, you know, all the other stuff, the odds are much lower, the long COVID and all that stuff. So we just roll with what we know. And with OCD, we have to. We really have to with OCD. You know, we can't, it's like an alcoholic can't take a sip. We cannot afford to avoid, because it just takes over our lives. And so I love that. And I think you absolutely can do that. That's awesome, Beth. Yeah, and everybody's throwing you lots of support. I love that. I love that. Awesome job, everyone. Thank you for being advocates. Let's see here. Rosie. Hi, Rosie. I can relate, Beth. I have some COVID concerns. You do. I appreciate you sharing your story. And I've compromised the immune system plus OCD. It sucks. Yeah, 100%. I have a friend that has MS and she got COVID and it really, really wreaked havoc on her. It took her months to get better. She doesn't have an immune system and her body was already attacking things, and she's fine now. She's good, but I know that can be really challenging. So thank you for sharing, Rosie. Appreciate it. Ooh, I almost got into also, there is a gray area back at the conference. Wear a mask. Don't go out in group. Like, there is a way to navigate. If you have, you know, if you have a compromised immune system, there are people there wearing masks. There are people there, you know, being vigilant and being careful and eating, you know, going to get their food and going off in a corner and eating and being mindful. It's definitely worth going. And I think you can do it safely for sure. You know, you just have to kind of do your own thing, and there's no judgment. Everybody, there were lots of people wearing masks and lots of people trying to be vigilant and mindful. There were lots of people there with compromised immune systems that have comorbid physical conditions, cancer, all kinds of things, all kinds of things that were lowering their own immune systems and so forth. And so, you know, I think you can definitely, this goes for everybody. You can go gray. You can go gray with it and do what you have to do for you, and also go and get the benefits of the conference as well. So thank you, Rosie. All right. Got to give credit to Michael Schramm. I asked a girl out today. It didn't work out, but I'm proud of myself for going out of my comfort zone. Absolutely. Good on you, Mike. Is that a picture of you and Catherine in Facebook? I love that. I don't know that I ever like just asked a girl out. I typically like use this online sites, and then if we talk, we struck up. I don't know that I just like went out there. So huge congrats, and her loss. Excuse me. Her loss. You'll find your person, no question. Sorry, sneezing. Just going to quickly scroll. I know we're coming up on 8 o'clock. Lots of great comments. Thank you so much. I'm actually just looking for question marks. And Beth, I hope you didn't mind the tough love. You deserve it. It's because we believe in you, quite honestly. So all right. Thank you. And just to show for the parents. Hi, Joanne. It's good to see you. I think Jess just had a birthday. As a parent of an OCD child, still after all these years, feel the need to want to reassure. I really have to work hard at it. It's hard with people you love too. I know it's really challenging for Katie not to reassure me. It's really hard, really challenging for me not to reassure Katie. So yes, all of the above, Joanna. Please give the family my love. With all of that, thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate all of you. You guys are fantastic, and you always fill my heart and fill my cup. And so thank you so much for being here and all the love and support that you've given me and that you give each other. Yes, we can. Just leave that up. We can do hard things. Absolutely, Michael. Real quick, just some closing thoughts. Tomorrow, research roundtable with Dr. Abramowitz and Kyle King. That's at 12 p.m. Cognitive distortions, which is a really good conversation and interesting topic. So you have a chance. I think that really applies to a lot of us who really, my brain distorts all the time. So Cash, I love your emoji. It actually looks like the crabs are doing the heart thing above their head. So I love it. And Beth, keep identifying these values, keep doing it because it'll only propel you forward. I'm so psyched for you. Lots of beautiful things for everyone ahead. And yes, thank you for the uplifting comments. 1000%. The IOCDF is a donor-supported nonprofit organization. You consider making a donation at iocdf.org/donate. If you want to make sure that you're not missing any of our live streams, please feel free to follow and subscribe on all the social media channels. And as always, the IOCDF is here to support. You can always visit iocdf.org. Pulling all this stuff up myself is really hard. Well, first of all, we got conferences coming up. I'm just going to do this like totally unprofessionally. It's kind of like we got conferences, we got donations, we have research. It's all so exciting. You can find help. And this is what I was looking for. This is so inappropriate, but it's kind of fun, right? If you need resources and help, always visit iocdf.org. You can always email them as well at info@iocdf.org. I know that's around here somewhere, but I'm not going to look for it. So with all of that being said, Valerie is in the house. Hey, Valerie, it's good to see you. Have a beautiful rest of your evening and a great weekend. Stay vigilant, feel the feels. Don't let OCD off the hook. And we'll see you 2 weeks from tonight. Have a absolutely beautiful rest of your day. Thanks so much.